did get very frustrated, and I was in a meeting, and I don't recommend you do this, but I got pretty frustrated because they were pretty brutal. And I actually said to them, look, if you hate us so much, why don't you just cancel? Yeah, don't do that. He looked at me confused and he said, why would we cancel when you get us such great results?
Boom.
And I was embarrassed because why did I think it was about anything else? Where did we get this idea that we were in that room together that day, spending lots of money and time to make each other feel happiness? That's not why we're in business. They want a result. They were getting it. They wanted more. They were demanding more. But it turns out they never churned.
Yeah.
They were our biggest, no matter how unhappy. So one thing I recommend to people, especially who are starting their career in CS, right? It's very easy to get caught up in the emotions of a difficult customer. They can be very brutal. They can be mean. They can be unhappy. They can send all sorts of signals. Our data shows, this is going to shock you, but I promise, try this
Again,
out.
you're going to chuck us more?
Yes. It turns out in the business to business SaaS world, at least, and it turns out there's evidence this is true beyond that, those dissatisfied customers actually have higher success rates and longer retention rates. So here's how we tested it. So we took a large set of customers and we divided them into two groups: customers who'd had negative experiences and expressed frustration, and customers who hadn't had any negative experiences. And all we do is we say, what's the average lifespan of those two groups? And it turns out the customers who've had negative experiences stay more than twice as long as customers who've only had positive experiences. Now, what's going on? Well, obviously, negative experiences are not causing them to stay longer. Something else must be happening. We'll go back to what I said before. If it's clear that customers who get results are the ones who stay, here's a simple hypothetical. Customer A is likes your software, but hasn't really tried a lot of it, hasn't done much, hasn't invested the time to do the training, isn't using it very much. Customer B is using it a lot and running into all. Which of these is going to run into more problems? The customer who's using it a lot. But which customer is also more likely to get results? So it's not the negative experiences that cause customers to stay longer. It's the results. It just happens that customers frequently who run into problems are the ones who are trying harder. They're the ones changing their behavior. They're the ones most likely to discover what's wrong with your product, what its limitations are, to get
they're breaking the product, but it's because they're using the product.
Exactly right. And so what I didn't realize is that client was sending a message all along that I was misinterpreting. And that message was, this is really important to us and we're using the heck out of it. Those are both signals that they're a winner. So it's easy to get emotional and frustrated and hurt when you're dealing with these difficult customers. Guess what? Take it from me. They're the least likely customers to churn, even when they promise they will. Even customers are saying, we've had it with you, we're going to look around. That's not a great sign, but it turns out they're still going to stay longer than a different group of customers who you're not talking to, who aren't spending that much time. Customers who seem green are very frequently red. And so when we look at our so-called red customers, are we really sure they're leaving, or are we just sure, or what are we hearing is that this is important to them? Because if it's important to them, they don't tend to leave. So the critical thing is to find a way to measure what matters. But I will tell you, the most important thing to measure, you do want to track their adoption and their behavior change. So that's really important because that's the leading indicator. Find a way to figure out where they're at, if at all possible. But don't wait for data to appear. Find a way to do it. And what I found is that if you can do that and then find some way to measure results, that will make the difference.
And Greg, would you agree that making sure that the first time to value it's present and reachable will be the first step to success?
Yeah. So typically the biggest problem in measuring results for customers is that they don't even know what they are. Some customers do. Many of your customers don't. And that's actually a risk indicator that's very early. I already will make an account red if they tell me I'm not really sure what our goal is. That if they can't tell me what their goal is, that's bad. But I can also help them with that because our product only does so many things. So one of the things I'll do is say, well, is it this? Because this is a common thing our most successful customers are looking for. And very frequently they'll say, or they might say, no, it's not that. It's not make money, it's save money. Oh, okay. So then is it this? So you can lead them to that. But it is extremely important to have a measurable result that they think is theirs. I can't just show them some, we found that it doesn't work all that well to just come back one day and say, look at your results, where we didn't even check if that's the thing they want. We have to at least get them to align with it and say, yeah, that's what we're looking for. So if they don't have the answer, lead them to the answer, but they still need that. So that's the front end. That can be a very quick
Yeah.
conversation. If you want to learn more, on my website, I have this thing called the CRS guide. It's a customer results strategy. It's a simple way to have this conversation in 5 minutes with a customer to get to that answer without building a whole success plan and all that stuff. So you have to have that.
Mm.
Then you say, well, if that's your result, now I do the most important thing I do every day, which is motivate them to change their behavior. If you want that result, these are the 1, 2, or 3 things you have to do to start getting results. Oh, really? I have to do that? Yes, you do. What if I don't? Then you won't get results. Okay, good. Show me how to do it. Yep, I'm happy to show you. Guide them through the behavior change and then show them their first result. It's like this thing. You can do that with a brand new customer because it's obvious how you do that, but you can do it with an older customer too. If I inherit a customer, I might say, hey, it doesn't look like we've ever really aligned with you on what this is for. Can I just spend 5 minutes connecting with you on that? What are you trying to achieve? What's the business case for our software? What are you trying, like, what's your goal? How will you know when you've won? That's my favorite question. Looking forward
Ah,
6 months or a year from now, how will you know this was effective? And they're frequently going to say, oh, I don't know, I hadn't thought about that. Maybe it's this or it's that. And you get to have a great conversation and you can then come to an understanding. Very frequently, I'm kind of teaching them a little bit. Look, this is the result that most of our customers are looking for, or that customers like you are looking for. Is that it? And then they, oh yeah, it's kind of like that. So we get to that conversation where we get clarity around that. So okay, let's figure out how we can measure it. Well, we can't measure it directly. What if we tried this thing? And the goal is anything is better than nothing. Have that conversation, then use it to motivate them to change their behavior in simple ways, then show them results. After that, their
mm,
whole relationship changes. Now they start to see us as a key part of their success, and they start to ask you, hey, what else could I do? Like, I'm still not happy
yeah.
with these results. What's my next step? What are the best
Mm.
customers doing? Share me the secrets. Boy, when you're in that conversation with a customer, they're a customer for life.
Everyone out there, please pause, go back, and rehear everything that Greg had said today, because I think that it's just on the dot, on the point, on the center where we want to get as customer success managers to start preventing churn, not when it happens, but actually being months, years ahead of that. And Greg, unfortunately, it's time to start wrapping up today's episode. The last question that I have for you, Greg, is when has been a time that you messed up, or when has been a time that you fucked up, and what did you learn from it? Because we don't want to do that mistake.
Okay, here's a big one for my life as a CSM. So hopefully this can be relevant to a lot of people listening. For years, I mean, I wasn't a CSM. I was actually a CEO for a long time, and then I was a head of customer success. But you know what happens is you inherit the difficult customers, the ones that are
Yeah.
complaining, they get escalated. And so here's a bad mistake. For a long time, I was very focused on the product. Okay, that they had complaints, this thing doesn't do this, or it does this wrong, or it breaks when we do this, and they were all true. They were like, none of them were made up. Like, if you look at your product and you look at the complaints that are coming from your customers, they're real. Here's the mistake I was making. I was blaming the product for the problem because that's what the customer was doing. But when I flipped my view and I said, wait, all that really matters is results. If this product is so bad that you can't get results, then why
Wow.
do I have 20 other customers who are getting results? How is that possible?
That was today's CSM Quick Lesson. For the full conversation and more practical tips, just go and check out today's episode description where you will have the link to the full conversation. Remember to hit follow, also follow us in the social media, and you can also go and check out our new website. Remember, keep learning, keep growing, and let's keep improving the world of customer success. Until next time.